Yes, guys, welcome back to Chasing Green Arrows for our Friday deadline special. But today is a very special day because it's also transfer deadline day, and we've got an extra guest on the show. We are joined by regular co-host Dean Jones, but also by Ian Irving, who is live from the Man City training ground this morning. How you doing, mate?
Yes, I am. I'm in one of the interview rooms just off the media suite. So we've been watching the front door and the exit door as well. It's been really busy. It's one of the busiest deadline days we've had in a while, actually.
Yeah. Dean, you've been busy. Yesterday was a busy day for you as well, I expect.
It was, yeah. As you can see, I'm in a different location today. I'm in Germany, ready to hijack the Palhinha deal and just stop him from going through with his medical. Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm pretty down on that deal. Obviously, like Fulham at the moment looks like they're not even going to get to £60 million for Palhinha, which I don't think is okay, but that's where we are. Like, unbelievable signing for Bayern Munich, to be honest, and for Palhinha himself. Like, don't begrudge him that at all. Like, he's too good for be playing for Fulham, but we're running out of time to replace him. Probably going to get Højbjerg and one other through the door. But it's been a really good transfer window, obviously. I mean, I'll be honest, like I've reported on, look, going back years and years to when I worked on the tabloid papers and Bleacher and all the rest of it, like done so many transfer windows. This one is just beyond anything I've ever experienced. Like, the added layer of the Saudi stuff compared to like all the money that's now in the game here as well. And just how many people on Twitter seem to think they know everything, but also the problem being that sometimes they do. Like, it's so complex now to like chase up stories and like filter through what's real and what's not. It's really, really complicated now covering transfer windows because you can't dismiss anything and you have to actually make calls on stuff that you're pretty sure isn't true, but might be. So it's just been an added layer of having to deal with this now. But yeah, it's been good, obviously, from an entertainment point of view. And Ian will know more than anything, like the pressure on Man United to deliver in the next few hours is going to be one of the storylines that's to come today.
I can't wait to get Ian's take on what we might expect from the Manchester clubs, if anything, from City. Palhinha, Dean, I feel for you, mate. If he was English, I mean, is there much between him and Declan Rice? Look at those transfer fees.
Mate,
yeah.
I mean, look, they're different sorts of players. Good. Rice has got a bit more attacking to his game. In terms of a defensive midfielder, you won't find a better player at breaking up play than Palhinha. Like, I'm not exaggerating when I'd say he is genuinely the best in the Premier League at doing that job right now. And so to go into Bayern, look, Man United better look out because they've got to play Bayern Munich and they're going to have Palhinha and Harry Kane in that team. And yeah, Bayern definitely better than Man United right now. Maybe Amrabat will change that.
Yeah, well, Ian, United take on Bayern in the Champions League, which will be fun. Are we expecting an addition or two? I guess just a one today. Resting Pilgrim says he's heard Man United got Amrabat in the canteen. Jesse says he's a big fan of Talk of the Devils. What can we expect at United today?
Well, as many as 4, actually, to be honest, if you include Johnny Evans signing, which I think will be done at some point. It doesn't need to be done today with him being a free agent, but you've got Altay Bayındır, who's already been confirmed, who's coming in as a backup goalkeeper, but he is the Turkish number 1 and been very impressive at Fenerbahce as well. So that's an interesting dynamic to keep an eye on with Andre Onana. I don't think it will be a threat for our FPL teams, to be honest, but yeah, he's a very well-experienced keeper. Sergio Reguilon will be done today. If that's not already been announced, it will be soon, I'm sure. But he's essentially going to be like the 4th choice left back. So the amount of scrutiny there's been over this particular deal for important players in that position is a little questionable. But anyway, he'll be done. And then also the big one, Sofian Amrabat. Now, my colleagues at The Athletic were reporting that they only offered about a €2 million loan fee paid in 2 instalments with a break clause in January, meaning that maybe only 1 installment would be paid. Now, I know United are very stretched when it comes to FFP. They've got a huge consideration when it comes to that. But I'd expect at some point today that they'd reach a number that Fiorentina were happy with and that loan deal will get done for the season because he's absolutely desperate to join United. I know there's been interest reported from Fulham, but it sounds like he's just waiting on United. And actually, that's a pretty busy deadline day, to be fair, isn't it, for anyone? And across the board, actually, here at City as well is the same. There's lots of deals being done. And it doesn't seem like all of it's panic. Some of it is sort of finding last minute solutions and things like that as well. But quite exciting for us to watch.
Yeah, I'm loving that. With Cole Palmer leaving City, do we expect any late business from City? I know Doku's had come in already, but there's still. We know Pep likes working with a thin squad, but it's thinner than we've ever seen probably under Pep now, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's going to benefit us for FPL, isn't it? I mean, Pep Roulette's not quite as threatening as it was. Yeah. Coming from a man who transferred in Phil Foden last week, only to see him put on the bench. But in terms of
feast this week, mate, with Foden, aren't you? Especially
fingers
with
crossed.
Paulinho.
Fingers crossed, yeah. I mean, obviously, Cole Palmer going actually was a bit of a surprise. I think for the money, clearly, it's a deal that City felt that they wanted to do because the fee was so high for someone with so few first team appearances. But he's actually made a good impact on the first team here, and you're bringing in someone in Doku who, whilst he's a very talented player, he's a similar age. He's not come through the system under Pep Guardiola over the last few years here at City, and he's used to the system that City plays. So he's adapting to a new country, a new league, a new club, a new style. So that's going to take a little bit of time. João Cancelo is the other sort of major FPL name for City, who I think will leave today. They're just still trying to work out those details with Barcelona, but I think that will get done. And obviously, Matheus Nunes coming in from Wolves as well is an important addition in the midfield, and an expensive one as well. So again, for City, this is a really busy deadline day. I've sat in the press room just here at the training ground, deadline day after deadline day. And the most exciting thing that's happened is when they turn the coffee machine on. So actually today, it's pretty good all around, yeah.
I guess you're too young to have been working the Robinho deadline day transfer, because that was, as far as deadline day moves go, that's up there with the very best, isn't it?
Well, actually, I did work on that, but I was working for Channel M in Manchester, and there was probably about 12 people and a dog watching to see us break the news that Berbatov was going to Old Trafford and Robinho was signing. The most exciting one I think I've been involved with, say exciting, it was more eventful really, was being at Liverpool at their training ground when they confirmed Luis Suarez in the morning. Fernando Torres was going to Chelsea. Andy Carroll was coming in for about 35 million quid, I think. And basically we had to take refuge inside the training ground because fans outside were burning Torres shirts, and it was quite a lot of ill feeling about really. So we all got scuttled inside. It was about -2 because it was a January transfer window as well. And that was really full on, to be fair. But thankfully these days it's a little more calm. But it's good to watch, isn't it? Definitely.
Yeah. I remember that Torres one. I was at the Torres presser at the Chelsea end of things, and I just remember it was packed that day. Like the expectation around that Torres deal, like it was supposed to make Chelsea explode. Like it was supposed to be such a big deal, like supposed to take Chelsea to new levels. And it's unbelievable when you look back on that deal, the fact that Torres actually flopped like he did. Like that was just so unseen, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a surefire transfer, wasn't it, at the time?
Yeah.
I mean, Andy Carroll coming the other way was the questionable one, really, wasn't it? And neither of them really worked out, to be fair. But it's given me a story
came,
to
didn't
tell.
He? The same window, did he? Did Suarez follow Carroll?
Same day.
Same day, yeah.
So Suarez was confirmed first thing in the morning, and then the rest of the stuff developed as the day went on. But good memories, sort of.
Yeah. For Chelsea, I mean, the Torres one was interesting. We were so desperate for him to turn good. We even bought in Rafa Benitez, and that didn't work either. Guys in the chat, good to see so many familiar faces. We are here for, of course, FPL chat, but we have to start with the transfer stuff. So we're going to be moving on to FPL very, very shortly. By the way, you mentioned a couple of players there. Cole Palmer is a 4.9 million asset, if you're interested. He's still listed as a Man City player. That will change in and around the deadline today. Dean, what's your take on Cole Palmer? Like, really good summer. I watched a couple of the games. I think I probably watched from the quarterfinals onwards, and I thought he was England's best. I know Anthony Gordon got player of the tournament, but Palmer was impressive. When you look at that attacking lineup for the England under-21s, there's some good names there. And if Palmer is the standout, then you've got a special player, right, on your hands. It's a good signing by Chelsea. Yeah,
mate, look, he's going to be for the next couple of years, he'll develop into being one of the most creative players of his age group. Certainly within the Premier League, but probably within Europe. Now, Man City just don't have the scope to allow players like that to develop right now. Like they're looking to build on a treble, or at least maintain those sorts of standards, which means that his game time is going to be limited at Man City. thankfully for him, there was a pathway at Chelsea whereby the model build is perfectly suited to him and you actually get more minutes over there. Going forward, I was speaking to an agent today who thinks that he's probably like being looked at as like that Nkunku rotator. So like as the season wears on, like that, they'll probably play similar roles within this Chelsea team. So that's going to be hard for Cole Palmer to stay within the setup once Nkunku's back. But yeah, certainly in the opening weeks. I mean, at 4.9 million, that's interesting, especially if he's listed as Man City. Does that mean that if you had 2 or 3 Chelsea players right now, you could technically have 4 Chelsea players this weekend in your team?
Yeah, I think it does, because
it does, but you'd have to transfer them out straight away. So the next transfer you make would have to be to get rid of a Chelsea player.
As soon as they got Forest at home, you never know. Like that. That might be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because Sterling's been playing on the right, but Ian, you'll remember from the time at Man City, we kind of see Sterling as being arguably more suited to the left. And if Palmer can come in on the right-hand side, that will be an interesting dynamic because Chelsea are short on the left with the injuries we've seen so far.
Yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on, isn't it, with him? I'm not sure that he, despite the fact he's a 40-50 million pound footballer, is going to go straight into the starting lineup for Chelsea. And I noted sort of Pochettino's comments on it as well before the deal was done in the week, and he seemed a little cagey about it. So I think it's a situation to keep an eye on rather than being, rushing to get him in your team. But the way Chelsea's fixtures are, the way they've looked as well, certainly in the last game against Luton, it's a team to target. And at 4.9, it's an option. It goes into what I was talking about the last time I was on the stream, actually, when we were talking about these younger players and getting minutes late on in games, and whether there's still options to have in your team, even if you're not sure that they're starting every week. I mean, for me, I've still got Garnacho. He's going to leave my team this week. That gamble's not really paid off, to be honest. Although last week it enabled a Matty Cash auto sub. So I would say Garnacho's done his job. But yeah, in terms of, are we bothered that these lads aren't going to start every week? Because if they are going to come off the bench and get half an hour with the added on time, it can be 40 minutes, it can be 45 minutes. So, it's a situation to keep an eye on, I think, that throughout the season, not just with Palmer, but Garnacho, maybe Foden at times as well. Yeah. Because these subs are getting more minutes just by the fact that the added on time is so much more.
Yeah, I like this point that Matthew's making. He says there's someone coming through next at City so that they're happy to let Palmer go. I mean, the fact that they've let Palmer go, they've let Doyle go, they're letting McAtee go. Like, that's 3 massive decisions from City to let 3 players that they've had like coming through for a while now and with some promise of the first team. Like, what do you make of that?
I'm surprised at Palmer. I know that Guardiola has spoken at the start of this season and sort of said, well, if anyone wants to leave, they can do. I know that Palmer wasn't happy with how few minutes he got here last season. But that said, with Mahrez leaving, I know they've signed Doku, but, he was already in the building. He's already sort of well drilled in the way that City want to play. He understands the tactical systems, and that is really important for Guardiola. We've seen players not play many minutes at all throughout their first campaigns. Look at Calvin Phillips last year. If it's not quite right for Pep in the way he wants his players to play, he just won't play them. So Palmer felt like someone who could be a bit of a poster boy for the academy as well. I mean, City have spent so much money over the years on building an absolutely world-class academy, both in terms of the facility, the training that they get, the schooling that they get, the whole thing. So, the natural thing for that should be to provide players to the first team. And that's something that hasn't quite happened other than Phil Foden, who, could well turn out to be a generational talent for English football. So, I look at Manchester United down the road. I look at the way that Arsenal have done it at times in the past as well. I think to have these players as part of your squad is good. It shows the young players in the academy there's a pathway through to the first team. But of course, with City now, there's huge considerations with balancing the books. If you're going to sign Doku and Nunez and players like that, you have to find a way to fund it. And if that's selling players on who are not quite at the level, then fair enough. But when it comes to someone like Cole Palmer, I thought he'd stick around, but obviously not.
Chelsea have done similar with so many big names sold. You look at some of the centre-backs, Tomori and Gay alone. Ian, you're about to go into the City presser. Like, I'm guessing, is it a 1:30 start?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So Foden missed last week. Akanji missed last week. We're expecting both to be back in this time round. I mean, Akanji's reportedly trained. You'll know more than I will. And Foden was reportedly ill last week and only came off the bench because Sheffield United scored, right?
I think that's right, yeah. I'm happy to sit here and speculate, but I think it's always worth keeping an eye on what comes out at the press conference at 1:30, because there's always an opportunity this close. What are we? Just over an hour away, that I sit here and say something about what I know to this point, and it's completely contradicted. But Foden played so well in that game against Newcastle that I can't see him being long out of the team. If it was an illness that kept him from starting last week, that's all it would have been. It wouldn't be for any other reason. And then going back to the point I was making about new players coming in here at City, they need time to settle in. I mean, Guardiola won't be taking the press conference today because he's had his back operation. It'll be Juan Leo again. And obviously that means that Pep hasn't been here day to day working with these players and getting them used to what he wants and the demands as well. So I think, you're not going to see Doco and Nunez in the starting lineup, I don't think, against Fulham. So, yeah, keep an eye on it. I mean, Akanji was a knock as well, I was told. So, if he's not back for Fulham, he'll be back very soon, definitely.
Guardiola has gone up in price to 5.1. He's had a bit of love this week as well. Dean, on Man City, we've had a super chat from Johannes. Is it stupid to triple captain Haaland? Now, I would save it for the double game week, but if you rank all 20 Premier League teams in the first 3 game weeks, do you know who's had the lowest, or the highest expected goals conceded? By a country mile, Fulham at the moment have been the worst defence in the league in the first 3 game weeks. They don't have Palhinha. Is Tim Ream back, Dean? Or was it, how many games was he
back,
suspended for?
Yeah, Ream's back, yeah.
On paper,
which helps Haaland. That helps Haaland, doesn't help Fulham. Mate, we're a bit all over the place. Yeah, I mean, this fixture is terrible timing for Fulham. Of all the times you'd want to play against Man City, this ain't the day. Losing, your best player, there's no doubt about it. Palhinha is our best player. Against Arsenal last week, honestly, it was sensational. Like, Arsenal would have won that game 4-5-0 if Palhinha wasn't there. And we also got away with Odegaard had a goal ruled out just before half time that would open the floodgates, I think. Leno had an absolute worldie again. It's not a bad idea, to be honest, to go triple captain. I don't know if I'll do it if I can bet against my own team like that. But yeah, we're a bit of a shambles. I mean, as it sits right now, we haven't got a replacement in for Mitro. We haven't got a replacement in for Palhinha. Both players are going for basically a combined £100 million, and that's literally what our success has been built around. An amazing central midfielder and a great consistent goal scorer in Mitro, and now you're going to have neither. So it's a shame. Adam says, Dino, you said you were all over the place last week and you drew with Arsenal. Well, yeah, we did. That's true. But if you watched, I mean, I was at the game and it was like the worst 90 minutes I've ever endured in my life. Like, we scored in the first minute, and every minute after that was
something as a Fulham fan as well,
yeah,
isn't it?
Exactly, mate.
And it was agonising. Like, literally every time Arsenal got the ball, I just looked away because I was just waiting for it to hit the net. We were quite resilient, but Arsenal were also quite wasteful. Like, genuinely, like, they were wasteful. Martinelli was wasteful. Saka was wasteful. Havertz was rubbish. Man City aren't going to do that. Man City don't miss as many chances as Arsenal missed last weekend, and that's the thing. I was looking actually a couple of days ago at whether Fulham had even bothered selling tickets for this game to see if any fans were going up there. It looked sparse. Like, that away end is going to be half full at best tomorrow, which is ridiculous, obviously, at this stage of the season. But it just goes to reflect how fans are feeling about this state of our club at the moment.
World number 1 from last year and chaser, often in the chat, Ali Yahangarov was at the Fulham Arsenal game as well, and I'm gutted I didn't text you.
Was he?
Dean. Yeah. So his prize for winning FPL was a trip to London, and he's managed to pick a 7-8 day window where Arsenal play at home twice. So he's seeing United Arsenal on Sunday, and he saw Arsenal Fulham last weekend, and he texted me off the back of the game. I was like, "Oh, what do you think of the game?" And he just said one word: Palhinha. Like, that's like, as in, like, best player on the pitch by a country mile.
Yeah, he's never been any good for us in FPL, has he? But in terms
exactly.
of being as a footballer, he's amazing. Yeah.
In that Super Sunday clash, and it feels very Super Sunday. It's Arsenal, it's United, 4:30 on Sunday UK time. Many in FPL this week are selling midfielders, good midfielders, to accommodate what they think are better midfielders. So we are seeing Rashford probably going to have a price drop. Martinelli could have a price drop. Odegaard's being heavily sold. I'm completely fine with selling the Arsenal lads, not Saka, but Martinelli and Odegaard. And Martinelli will be my sell this week. But the United lads, I feel like off the back of last week, maybe that United attack, knowing we're going to start seeing Rashford left as well, which is useful, it'd be a really reluctant sell to sell Bruno or Rashford for me. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I feel like there's goals in this game as well. It doesn't feel like either team have been anywhere near their best at the start of this season, and they're waiting for something to kick them into gear. Now, that might cue up a boring 0-0 draw on Sunday, but it doesn't usually happen. This fixture last year was 3-2. And obviously Arsenal's system as well has seen Partey playing as a right back and inverting into midfield. So naturally that offers an opportunity for Rashford to get in behind as well. He scored a fantastic goal at the Emirates last season as part of that brilliant spell that he had as well early in 2023. So no, I don't think they are easy sells, either of them really. And also I think as well, from an Arsenal perspective, Manchester United haven't looked great either. Varane and Luke Shaw, who would both be starting this game, sounds like both of them are going to be missing for this match. So, you're going to have Diogo Dalot at left back up against Saka. Victor Lindelof will play in central defence as well, who's capable and very well experienced as well, but obviously not first choice normally behind Varane. So to me, it feels like both teams score in this game. And if either team scores, then Rashford and Fernandes will be around it for United, and Saka, Martinelli and Odegaard will be around it for Arsenal, I'm sure. I don't think, it's obviously two top teams coming up against each other, but the way that they've both played so far, I don't think it's going to be 0-0.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I do think Tamarine in the chat says, do you think it's worth selling Martinelli? It depends who you're selling him for. Like with Jesus potentially coming back in soon, I think that's better for Martinelli, but he is coming off at 60, 70. That will continue. I think he's safe for a start on Sunday, but if you don't have a Foden, some might say an Mbeumo, a Maddison, a Sterling, I prefer these players to Martinelli, and therefore it's okay, I think, selling him. But the United lads I'd hold. Look, we've got 4 teams to show you, so let's move on. We're going to show all of our 3 teams, but most importantly, you guys are going to be voting for what we do with the Chaser team this week. So next up, we've got our team reveals coming up. The Walton Rifles are up, Dean.
Yeah, I haven't made any transfers yet. At the moment, I've just stuck Archer into my my starting lineup because I'm just wondering.
Played in the week, didn't he?
Yeah. So I'm tempted to give him a run out. I guess you're going to get a run out. He's going to be against Everton, right? You might
home, yeah.
I'm thinking like this way, I could have 2 transfers for after the break if I can get through with this team. There's a temptation to take Rashford out and a temptation to take Salah out, to be honest, but can't really be bothered. I think I might as well just let it run this week. I think Rashford is as likely to score as Saka, to be honest, in that match. Like Arsenal, Man United, I don't know how that's. I actually think it'd probably be a draw, if I'm honest with you. I think United really need to get something out of that game, and they'll go there with a bit of a different structure to them. And Rashford, if anyone's likely to score, is probably him. If United break away, so and Salah needs a goal if he's going to not be going to Saudi Arabia by then. So I think I'm set with this. Nothing's really changed my mind.
Goalkeepers, are you set on Turner or Onana? Because that is a 50-50 call.
Yeah, right? That is a 50-50 call.
I've got Onana, but I'm just going to check the clean sheet odds now, and I'll let you know when you're talking.
I was going to say, I think Onana's probably more likely to get a clean sheet if either of them do, although they're both unlikely to get one. So maybe going with the save points for Turner might be the way to go. Then again, United have conceded historically a lot of shots at Arsenal as well. I mean, I remember De Gea a few years ago. He broke the record for the most saves in a Premier League match away at Arsenal. I think he had something like 33 shots.
That's a good point.
Not all of them on target, but it's weighing up the save points maybe.
Onana is 15% likely to keep a clean sheet, according to bookies odds, and Spurs are 13% likely to keep a clean sheet. So both those guys rank in the bottom 4 of teams to concede this week.
Spurs? You mean Forest?
Oh, did I say Spurs? Sorry, Forest. Yeah. So Forest are 13% likely to keep a clean, United 15. And right at the top of those charts, Man City most likely at 56, Chelsea at 50. Interesting. Yeah.
I mean, obviously Chelsea have got a bit more bite to them at the moment. So this wasn't like going to be my decision, the Onana Turner thing. It just wasn't decided. And, watching Arsenal last week and seeing how many saves Bernd Leno made, That does give me a bit more hope for Onana. Arsenal will play a different team to the one that they played against Fulham last week. I don't think Arteta can afford to experiment like that again, and Arsenal can't surely be as wasteful. So it's a bit of a toss-up, really. Probably will go with Onana just because of the chances of the saves. People keep asking me about Rice, like I've said a million times. Like he was just in this team while I was figuring out like who would be a good option at 5.5. And at the moment, there's no point me making a £5.5 million transfer this week. I might as well let it ride to after the break and then decide how I can maneuver that to get a more attacking player out there. It just isn't still clear to me, like at that price point, who is the best sort of buy. So I want to wait for the transfer window to close too, in case
he'll be one of the new Forest midfielders, mate. You'll get like
mate, well, this is the thing. Like,
million or
suddenly you look at Hudson Odoi,
actually.
Yeah, like Hudson Odoi and players like that. Like, there's something about them that could have liftoff. Like, I think Hudson Odoi will need a little bit of time to get fired up again, and I hope he can find the motivation to make that happen, because he's been determined over the last week to make sure he not just got out of Chelsea but stayed within the Premier League. So he's managed to do that, and with Forest also strengthening around him, I think it gives him extra hope. So that's one that I've really got on my watch list going into this weekend. I hope he gets a run out, so we can start to see that. But
I think it's Salah or Rashford down, and then bringing Rice up for me. Not that you've asked me for my advice, but I feel like the opportunity to have maybe two 6.5-ish midfielders at the moment, considering how well they're going, or even pushing to 7.5.
Yeah,
so many options and so many good options that maybe that's the way to go. And then you get two good options rather than just one.
No, I think you're right, and I think that Salah is obviously a gamble that hasn't paid off so far. It was a late decision. I just decided to jump on that train and hope for the best, because I noticed that not many people were going there. I thought, give it a go, but hasn't paid off. Mark says Zaniolo. Yeah,
if he becomes nailed.
If he becomes nailed,
I think.
Need to see. I mean, Coutinho looking to leave Villa today, which again starts to open the door for potentially one more little signing coming into Villa. So we'll look at that. Villa do look good. I like Diaby as well. Villa, like it. That sort of signing. Diaby really does go one way or the other. Like, he either comes in and just totally flops and nothing comes in, kind of like how Leon Bailey's been for most of his time at Aston Villa. Or if he hit the ground running, he can swing the other way as an unbelievable season and probably ends up at like Man City in a year. So Diaby is definitely one that I've got my eye on. I've picked the wrong one there. We're going for Watkins instead.
Watkins is reliable for the time being, but yeah, there'll be I think they'll match each other.
He scored last night, Watkins. I saw Villa won 3-0, but I haven't checked who the scorers were.
He was on the bench. I don't know if
was he?
He did. Matty Cash scored again. I know that. First one was John Duran as well, which always makes me laugh because it sounds like Duran.
Always.
Anyone under 35 won't get that. So yeah.
He did get his start as well, Duran. Let's move on to, it's probably Ian's team next. It could be mine. Let's have a look. Speaking of Matty Cash, I know you've got him, Ian. Let's have a look at the team we've got next up. It is your team, yeah. Yeah,
so really simple for me. It's going to be Garnacho to James Maddison. They both changed price right at the start of the week. So Garnacho dropped, I think, on Saturday. Maddison, I think, went up on Saturday, or maybe it was Sunday. It's just too early for me to act. So I've kept an eye on it as the week's gone on, and they've not changed again. So I thought I'd wait to the press conferences today, see what's said, make sure there's no surprises, and then make that move. And that's the starting 11 that I'll go with as well.
Yeah, I like that. Talk to me about City defence. If you own John Stones, like Dean and a few others in the chat, I'm sure do, knowing the international break's coming, you hold him, I'm guessing, because we hope come game week 5 or 6 he's fine and available. You could move to Chilwell if you don't have Chilwell and you've got Stones, but I'm guessing you just stick. But you went Guardiola. Dean was already on Guardiola. I've gone Guardiola in the last couple of weeks. You feel like he's going to start, I don't know, what, 80, 90% of games? Maybe not quite Diaz nailed, but other than that, he's in the Akanji bracket of will play most games.
I don't know, if I'm honest, because he is a new toy for Pep to play with. I knew that he would play while John Stones was out, more than likely, because he is the one who offers, the potential to step into midfield like John Stones has done over the last 12 months for City. So I was fairly confident he'd play while Stones was out. But like you say, I think the initial expectation was for him to come back into contention after the international break. I've not heard anything so far to suggest that is not still the target. I just wanted to jump on the City clean sheet trade, and then they don't keep a clean sheet. And the alternative was Udogie as well, who again was another player I was championing last time I was on the stream.
I was between the two as well.
Yeah,
and that clean sheet, that wipeout made Foden come off the bench to block my Colwell points as well. But anyway, carry on.
Right. Well, yeah, Foden coming off the bench was good for me in the end, because I actually took a -4 to get rid of Salah and bring in Foden last week. I'd done the Liverpool-Bournemouth game at Anfield, and I know Salah scored from the penalty follow-up, but it just didn't quite look at it. It didn't look quite as sharp. And also there was 3 players in Alexander-Arnold, Szoboszlai and Salah all sort of trying to play in the same areas on that right-hand side. And to me, it just felt like something that needed to be refined and worked out a little bit more. So I don't think it'll be the last time I own Mohamed Salah this season. But similar to what I just said to Dean a moment ago, I felt that downgrading him and then having the opportunity to bump Garnacho up to someone in that 6.5 to 7.5 bracket was the way to go. And I think Maddison will be my choice, like I said before.
Yeah, fair point. I think I'm going to be heading in the same direction. Let's move on to my team. You're well set in. We've got really similar teams. We both got Matoma as our 6.5 mid as well. We'll speak a little bit about Mbomo in a second. My transfer is going to be Martinelli out. I've got 2 million in the bank, but I'll be downgrading, if you like, financially to bring in Maddison. Sterling's popular for many this week. I do prefer Jackson to Sterling, but I think Sterling is a good buy.
Need to see really more from him. It can't just be that one performance against Luton. Yeah.
Like Jackson, we've seen all his pre-season games and the first 3 game weeks. So I've seen Jackson play, I don't know, 6-7 times in a Chelsea shirt. Sure, he hasn't been scoring goals, but his level of performance has been almost identical in all 7 of those games. Sterling, pre-season, was Chelsea's worst player. Game week 1, he was poor against Liverpool. Game week 2 against West Ham, he showed glimpses. Unfair. Against Luton, he bullied them. But for me, it's Jackson over Sterling if you're back in the Chelsea attack. Fair enough if you want to go for a punt on the double up. I'm blocked from that anyway because I've got 3 Chelsea already. But Maddison, for me, this Spurs team is James Maddison's team, and it's fun and it's attacking, and they're going to score goals, and he's going to be heavily involved. So I really like his average position as well, proper advanced. So yeah, that'd be my move. I guess I got a bit of a benching dilemma. You could argue Estupiñán should be in the 11, but I'm going Colwell, and I'll speak more about Estupiñán if we have time for against the obvious feature coming up today. I don't think I want double Brighton in my team. I'm fancy Newcastle for a goal or 2. Let's move on to the community team because we want you guys to get involved here. We're going to put some polls up on screen. This is the squad. Let's just work out and ignore the 0 free transfers. We have 1 free transfer. So let's just work out first who we would be benching this week, and then we can think about our transfers. So I'm assuming Bayer and Chucky locked on the bench, and then probably João Pedro because we're not sure about him starting. So assume that's the bench, where would we want to make a transfer here? Oh, good point. I think he starts, but yeah, that's risky. I guess our transfer out needs to be Gabriel or João Pedro. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at this graphic. Like, bear in mind, like, ignore the first game for all these people. It's the second game listed that is actually their fixture for this week. It looks a bit confusing on here. So yeah, like Gabriel. Look, remember the other day, I think I said it on here. I was speaking to my Arsenal contacts about Gabriel, about why he hasn't been playing, and the gist of it was Arsenal got the ump because Gabriel's head was turned by the Saudi interest, and they didn't feel that it was initially at the start of the season. He wasn't in there for tactical reasons. So last season, when he was playing and Zinchenko was the inverted fullback, it suited them to do that. When they changed that this season, they didn't feel it was as fitting to start with Gabriel. Then he had his head turned by Saudi, so he stayed out of the team. There is a chance he comes back in for the United game, was what I was told a few days ago. So that is worth bearing in mind. But still, if he's always a risk, anyway, is he? Yeah, like I just think if he's always going to be a risk, and you can see like how he's considered in that setup right now, I personally wouldn't want him anymore. But maybe people feel differently.
He's one of them as well.
Make a move.
That if he's not in the starting lineup, he's getting 1 point, isn't he?
That's the worry, issue. Isn't it?
So he's not an attacking player. Yeah, he's not an attacking player who's coming on and having, the opportunity to go at a tiring defence in the last however many minutes they get. To me, there's just so much uncertainty over him until I see him sort of start maybe 2 or 3 matches in a row. And this is not even considering Arsenal's form or Gabriel's individual form either. I just think that you get rid and come back to him again if things change for him. He's the obvious move for me, I think.
Yeah, let's poll it. CH, thank you in the chat for rounding up the chasers. We will poll first and foremost, do we sell Gabriel or João Pedro? I'm going to rule out a hit and sell in both, because otherwise we're giving ourselves a benching headache, because it will be Gabriel or João Pedro. Whichever one we don't sell will be on the bench, and whichever one we buy will be coming into the 11 or replace with. We got so much money in the bank. João Pedro could go up to a Jackson. Gabriel could go up to a anywhere other than Trent, a Trippier, a Breva. So
I'd just get a Dogie in for him.
Yeah, personally. I would. Yeah, I would if I was going Gabriel. All right, let's poll it. First and foremost, Gabriel or João Pedro, who to sell? And then we'll talk replacements. Who do we sell? Gabriel or João Pedro? I'm going to vote. I'm not going to tell you guys who I'm voting for yet, because I've been told I influence this team far too much by the chat.
I voted too. Oh, my vote's losing.
Oh, it's tight. 52-48. Oh, okay.
Wow, it just swung.
There we go. We'll give it 10 seconds. The 48 of polled so far. Guys, 278 of you watching. If you have already added to that poll, do hit the like button. I'd love us to get to 100 likes. So hit the like button. And if you're new around here, subscribe. We do these streams every Friday, usually at 7, but it's a little bit different today with the deadline. So at the moment, it's looking like we're going to sell Gabriel. Who did you guys vote for? I voted João Pedro.
I voted Gabriel.
I voted Gabriel, but I can understand from a shape perspective why João Pedro might be the most sort of obvious change, because you're then playing 3-4-3.
It's gone up. It's gone to 50-50.
I was here.
Okay. The next one that gets a 51 or a 52%.
Oh, last minute winner.
Oh, damn.
Gabriel, a far post header. There you go.
The reason I would have gone João Pedro was this week, I think Jackson would have been the strongest buy we could have gone for, stronger than, say, Adoji. But let's go for Gabriel replacement. So let's give 2 or 3 names. Adoji's definitely got to be in there. I'm going to throw Trippier in just because we've got the money, and Newcastle are about to go on a really good fixture run. They're not there yet. They do have European football. Anyone else?
Those two for me.
Yeah. We can't put Gusto in because I think Reece James will be back next after international break. Cash. A few that Akanji. I don't think we want Akanji and Gvardiol, do we? And then we're blocked if we want to jump on a City. Yeah, Cash is getting popular. All right, we'll go Cash. We'll go Henry, because a few of you have said Henry. We can go for 4. Udoji and who was the 4th? Can't remember. Who was the 4th? Oh, there we go. Trippier.
Yeah.
Don't spend all our money on Trippier, guys. No, you can if you want. We got 2.3 in the bank. We can afford anyone. Get voting. I think this one's going to be clear in a way.
Yeah. I mean, I think with Cash, if you're bringing him in, he's got Liverpool away. So you're benching him and playing João Pedro. So I'm not sure that really helps us this week either, to be honest. But
True. Yeah. True. It looks like Adoji's going to win this. Okay, there we go. This team is getting more template by the day. But that's fine. Maybe we want to have
supposed to be the point, but yeah, whatever.
Do we even poll captaincy this week? I feel like this is going to be a 90% Haaland vote, isn't it?
I don't think you need to, mate.
I don't even think you have to, yeah.
Let's not poll it. We'll have more time for your questions if we don't poll it. So, guys, we will be bringing in Adoji as our replacement for Gabriel, and we'll be benching João Pedro.
I was going to say, moving forward, not that I'm coming on as a guest and trying to change everything, but perhaps if you don't want it to become completely template, you play around with the captain every week and say that you don't captain Haaland and choose who to captain week to week and see if you can get close to Haaland's haul over the course of the season. Because that is one aspect of FPL now where it's almost gone out the window, captaincy, a little bit, hasn't it? I mean, it's so obvious just to pick Haaland. You can almost just forget about that aspect of the game in a way.
Yeah, I'm with you. Dean, you said it the other day, didn't you? Maybe we have like 10 or 20 credits where we can use on Haaland captaincy, but not all 38 game weeks. Maybe when Haaland's away from home, especially when he's playing top half opposition, that's when we need to encourage these chasers to move away from Haaland captain, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. You just want to shake the game up a bit. I mean, a game like a week like this is absolutely no point even debating it. You're just silly if you don't back him against Fulham.
CH has put the question out there, do we want to take a hit? Rather than poll it, if you do want to, then let us know in the chat and we'll then poll it if you think it's popular. But I think we'll be giving ourselves a benching headache if we do. But yeah, okay, let's move on to our Against the Obvious feature. We've got 3 names for you, all highly owned, and we're going to give you 60 seconds worth of reasons why not to own them this week.
Then let's get it out of the way.
Dean.
Wait for this, Dean.
Oh, mate, it's quite simple. You can start the clock if you want. I too have watched Nicholas Jackson for most of his pre-season and all of his Premier League matches, and half the time the bloke can't hit a barn door. Look, yes, off the ball runs, brilliant stuff. Positioning, yeah, pretty great. Shooting, pretty wild. I'm waiting for the guy to have some proper composure around the box. Last year, my agenda was against Darwin Núñez. He lived up to it, and this season he's turning things around. So Nicholas Jackson this time next year might be in my FPL team, but until then, the bloke's going to have to score some goals to win me over. I didn't even think he was going to end up getting on the score sheet against Luton. He finally did get there, but. Yeah, Sham says Jackson is awful. He's a poor man's Núñez. Thank you, mate. I'm not going to go as far to say the bloke is awful because he's not. He's a very good footballer and actually his runs are smart. But I don't want him. I'm not going anywhere near the bloke. Just can't trust him.
Oh, I can't wait for his brace this week, mate.
Mate, of course this is gonna end up biting me. Of course it is. But yeah, I'm just gonna go with it for now.
What's your take in on what we've seen? Because his finishing has been rushed. It's been Darwin Núñez from last season, isn't it? Very similar style player.
Yeah, I don't think he's essential. I think you're playing the fixtures, aren't you? The fixtures are so good. You know he's going to start all the time for Chelsea, and now he has got off the mark against Luton. Then see how we go. But there's been a few players, and I mean we'll talk about my one in a minute, who people have been talking up as like absolutely must-haves. And I'm just not sure that they are, to be honest. But yeah.
Okay, I'll hit us off with Estupiñán. Let's start that clock. I did start, and I said to the producer, I'll go Martinelli, and I just thought that's a little bit too safe, especially knowing Dean was going Jackson. So I've gone with a player that is 64% owned. I'm guessing he's by far the highest owned defender, maybe the second highest owned player in the game after Haaland. I think we can afford to bench him this week. I'm not saying sell the guy, and I think he's the perfect defender for your team as a long-term hold because we buy Estupiñán for attacking returns. However, he's not keeping clean sheets and we need that guarantee when he's in your 11 if he's competing with, say, a Chelsea or a Man City defender on your bench. For me, I'm starting Colwill over him because the chances of a clean sheet are so much higher. He's playing Newcastle, who are no mugs defensively. City struggled against Newcastle. I mean, in terms of XG, they did. I think they clocked their lowest XG in like 2 seasons against them. Newcastle, we know from last year, are a solid defence. And if Brighton score, I don't think it'll be many. Therefore, I've got my fingers crossed Estupiñán won't be involved with those goals.
Yeah, 2 seconds to spare as well, though.
Hope you're wrong.
Yeah. If he's the sort of guy that you bench and out of nowhere can get the 17-pointer he got at Arsenal last year in a fixture you just don't see coming. And obviously that really kills your overall rank. But I'm just going with clean sheet odds and back in Brighton attackers to get the attacking returns, not the left back.
Yeah, this is the unknown with Brighton's defence, isn't it, really? We've seen them be really good at the start of the season. Now you need to see them up against some of the top teams to work out just how effective Estupiñán is in those sort of matches as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's a gamble to take. The fact he's selected by nearly 65% of teams shows that it's a gamble that if you get right will pay off big time as well. So it's exactly the type of against the obvious pick that can actually earn you real green arrows. So, yeah. Fair enough.
That. Ian, we don't have a graphic for yours, but because you've picked such a good player for this that many have got, but also many that don't have are probably looking at buying. Like, I thought game week 4, my transfer in was going to be this guy. And
Me
now
too.
we've just seen Maddison go and smash it. And I completely aren't even looking in that direction. But let's do 60 seconds, and I'm going to do my clock watch, and I'll give you 30,
Okay.
and I'll put you off a little bit, shouting times at you. But you're used to that, being a presenter.
It's fine. I can do it in 30 seconds if you want. That's no issue at all.
Go on, mate.
Hit us with your man. Let's go.
Okay, my against the obvious pick this week is Brian Mbeumo. And the reason is not really against him. It's more about the fact that I want so many other players who are about the same price as well. Just looking down the list, I want Raheem Sterling rather than him. I want Jared Bowen instead of him. I want Diaby, Maddison, Mitoma, Jota, Diaz. There's so many options around that sort of price that I just don't think he is as essential as what everyone is making out. I saw in the chat before, Andrew, I think it was, captain him this week. I mean, not for me. Historically, he tends to underperform his data as well. I know he's on penalties, but he's had 2 penalties in the first 3 game weeks. I just don't see how sustainable that is. I think the most he's ever scored 15. In a Premier League season before is 9. So he's already had a third of his highest total ever in a season. It just doesn't feel sustainable. And there's so many options around that price who are in better teams, who have shown better form over time as well, that I don't want Brian Mbeumo. Thank you.
Oh, to the second, mate. Well played.
Good, man.
Love that. It's just penalties. I mean, he's been good this season, but he has scored 2 pens. I know he scored a couple in open play, but 2 penalties, take them away.
But you might not get another penalty all season. I mean, chances are you will do, but how many will you get? I'm not sure. You've got Shard as well, I didn't mention, who obviously came in and scored his first goal against Palace. So, we'll see how that affects the dynamic for him too. I mean, it's Brian Mbeumo, he's not, there's not pages and pages of evidence to suggest that he's going to have a 200-point plus season.
No. I said this when I watched him play against Fulham. Like he got good points in that game against Fulham.
Yeah,
and like it was just like on an eye test, it wasn't there. Like I understood, like the points that were reflected didn't reflect what I was saying at the time, and like I wasn't going to touch him going forward because Brentford were playing differently, and he didn't seem to be that much among it. I'm standing by it. I think you're right. I wouldn't be touching him.
There's caused a stir in the chat as well, which is nice.
It has caused a stir in the chat because they've all got him. That's why.
Which is always good. I just think with him, like, maybe this will be his breakthrough season. Maybe him stepping out of the shadow of Ivan Toney is the moment he's been waiting for. But until I see him doing this type of thing week in, week out, he's had a brilliant start. But Solly March has had a brilliant start. Rodri has had a brilliant start. We're not clambering to get them in.
Yeah, Jared Bowen.
Yeah, I mean, I like Jared Bowen.
I like Bowen.
And he's got a couple of good home fixtures in the next 4 as well. So I wouldn't be adverse to someone having a try with him. But if
you're on a wild card,
so many good options around that price.
Yeah, a few are wild card in game week 4, and Bowen is a nice short-term option because he's got Luton and then a couple of okay fixtures. You could then move him on after a few weeks.
Well, I think he's got Luton and then 2 tough fixtures, which I'll check now, are against City and Liverpool. But then it's Sheffield United at home after that. So 2 of the next 4 are against Luton and Sheffield United. Granted, the 2 in the middle are City and Liverpool.
Although Liverpool, for Bowen, counter-attack, a high line, the way they're defending, it's not a bad fixture, that.
No, not too bad. But yeah. I'd want Bowen rather than Mbeumo anyway, put it that way. Sorry, Andrew. Sorry, whoever else was giving me grief as well.
Super chat from Nick.
Super chat. We better do this first. I was going to pick up something else. Nick, am I being silly rolling my transfer if my midfield is Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, Bruno, Rashford? Blimey, that your midfield, Christ!
I would make a transfer and sell Odegaard or Martinelli. Probably Martinelli actually.
Martinelli because he's definitely not on pens. The other 2, you don't know which one's going to take it. Yeah.
I'd sell Martinelli in a heartbeat.
I'd get rid of Martinelli.
So many good midfielders Nick's not got.
But also, the fact they're playing each other, you don't want 5 players involved in one fixture. Like
that is huge. I've not seen that midfield yet this season.
No, that's a crazy tactic, Nick. But I love it. Thanks for doing something different. Tambourine in the chat said Dean was defo a kid messing around at the back of the class, sneaking on the chat forums. Now, I don't know if that's because I'm always on my phone when you 2 are talking. It is transfer deadline day, so I've got a lot of messages coming in. I was the complete opposite of that Tambourine. I literally had detention once in my life, and that was just for like drinking a Lucozade too close to a computer or something. So I was very good at school, so yeah, I don't like that remark. I just want to answer one that was up a bit further before we get to those ones, because Derek did raise a good question, and I have the answer, so I wanted to answer. And he said, "Does anyone know if Henderson is starting over Johnston?"
Not
The
yet.
answer is no, he's not. Johnston is not being sold, first and foremost. Like, this is a genuine battle for the number 1 shirt. Dean Henderson will not be going in at Palace as the number 1. He has to earn the shirt. And so, look, to be honest, I'd stay off both of them for now, because I don't know how this will pan out. You can stay on Johnston for this week because he's expected to start. But I know someone close to Palace and who has good knowledge on what's going to happen. And he was like, look, no, there are a few reservations around Henderson actually taking the number 1 shirt straight away. That we're going to want him in for a little while first. So, yeah, so definitely don't be jumping onto him just yet.
We were talking about this on the Talk of the Devils podcast that I do for The Athletic earlier on today, which is all about United. And selling Dean Henderson to Crystal Palace is really interesting, because since this week the deal was being finalised, or when the deal was being finalised, United drew Crystal Palace in the League Cup. So actually his debut could well be in a League Cup tie against Manchester United.
That's a good shout. It might well be. Yeah.
So it's definitely a situation to keep an eye on. It'll be one of the highest earners, I would imagine, at Crystal Palace as well, given the wages that he had at United.
So Zaha's left.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit like Johnston and Guaita, isn't it? When Johnston was signed, it seemed like a strange move at the time, because they already had a first choice keeper, and over time Johnston established himself as the number 1. But it's 2 former Manchester United goalkeepers who came through the ranks sort of at Old Trafford. They're both from Lancashire. I think one's from Preston, one's from Carlisle. So very interesting. Yeah.
Did Roy Hodgson have Johnston at West Brom? Maybe not. I don't know. He definitely likes him, though, because, Guaita was a good keeper that the fans liked, but Johnson got his chance and has delivered. It'll be an interesting race.
Yeah, definitely. We'll answer this question, and I want to talk Mo Salah. Start Baldock or get a defender for -4. You could probably start Baldock this week, can't you, rather than take a -4?
He's off, though, isn't he off to Greece or something?
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's. You're too busy looking at the bigger transfers, mate. You've missed one of the beauties in Baldock. I think he's gone.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
not yet, but I think he's going today. And Bogle came off the bench and scored the goal. I don't think Baldock will start, even if he does stay now.
Oh, fair enough. You have much better insight than me. Good transfer guru I am.
Well, it is only Baldock from Sheffield United.
Fabrizio's safe for now.
Tell us about Mo Salah.
Mate, Mo Salah, so the bidders, the first verbal offer's now landed, like it's being reported. David Ornstein says that it happened last night. So the first offer is 100, which will add up to 150 with add-ons. That won't be the end of it. I would actually be a little bit worried now if I was Liverpool, because they've got another week for this to drag on.
7th window closes.
They ain't going to go away. They're not going to go away. This is the start of it. And Liverpool say, nope, not for sale. Let's move on. Have any of the Saudi clubs moved on from a bid like this so far? Absolutely no chance. Salah's going to have his head turned by this. And this is what I'm interested in now, is how does Salah react? We know how Liverpool are going to react. It's going to be like, no, there's nothing to see. Like, don't want to talk about it. But I don't think Salah will react like that. I think Salah's going to be interested in this. He's going to end up there, like whether it's now or whether it's in the new year, in next summer's window. But 150, say it ends up being 170 million pound if a second offer does come in. 170 million pound for a 31-year-old Mo Salah at a time when Liverpool have already got like 5 very good forwards, plus options actually in Szoboszlai and Harvey Elliott that can both actually go out and play on the right side of an attack beyond the 4 or 5 that you've already got in that front line. Mate, I'll be honest, I don't think it's a bad thing for Liverpool to take this right now. If you're ever going to lose Salah, I think this might be it.
I'd stick Darwin out wide if you need to as well. Like, you're right, there's options. They can't replace him in. Do you think we see that happen? Like, if you were putting £1 on that at the bookies, where would you, like, to both of you actually, do you think that returns?
Well, Liverpool have been really firm on this, and they say that they aren't interested in selling Mohamed Salah. The thing that might change that is an extremely firm offer of absolute mega money, because that is a hell of a lot of money for a player who, whilst he's still one of the best players in the Premier League, no doubt, but I'm not from what I've seen at the start of this season, he's not looked quite at the level that he's been in the past. He might still get there. You know, he is only 31. It's not like it's 37, 38. But the issue will be is if it doesn't get done today, which it doesn't sound like it will, Liverpool can't replace him. Yeah. So do you want to have £150 million burning a hole in your back pocket, or do you want to have Mohamed Salah for this period? And, you know, if the Saudi clubs are interested in Salah to the point where they want to spend this much money now, they're going to still want to spend that in January. It's not like they're never going to come back with a bid ever again. So to me, it doesn't feel like it's something that gets done now. I feel like it might be something that gets done, you know, maybe next summer, like Dean's saying. But at this price, it's far more of a consideration for Liverpool than just the sort of mention of interest like there's been to this point.
Slim pickings to replace him as well, even if you could. Like, I'm thinking of the right-sided wingers that have moved to Premier League clubs: Cole Palmer, Doku. I can't even throw a name at you who Liverpool would bring in. But they didn't want to sell Coutinho, and Klopp kept saying we're not going to do that. And look what happened with the huge money that came in.
It could definitely happen. Like, when you get to this amount of money and you see the aggressive nature with which they've gone after other players, and you sort of money they're throwing at Mo Salah right now, like his head has been turned for a fact, right? He is definitely like more than half interested in this move. And that is when everything starts to change. Now, obviously, like Liverpool, one of the biggest clubs in the world, they'll put up a better fight than Fulham could to hold on to Mitrovic, of course. But we haven't really seen anything like this before to gauge like what can happen. They've got Ronaldo over there. They've got Neymar over there. They've got Benzema over there. Like, nobody is ungettable. And that's probably the biggest fear for Liverpool right now. Obviously, you're going to knock back the first offer. It'd be absolutely no sense to have a verbal chat with Al Ittihad and be like, oh, yeah, come over. Like, we'll have a chat with you tomorrow. You've got to play hardball on it. But I don't think they're safe from this at all.
No, Ornstein has reported that Liverpool have rejected a verbal bid worth more than £100 million plus substantial add-ons from Al Ittihad. So I guess the ball has started rolling, and that shows you Liverpool's position at the moment. It'd just be a huge call, wouldn't it, really, to be honest, to sell someone like that when you can't replace him.
What a story, though. Can you imagine it?
He can still play the first 4 game weeks, and he's going to miss 4 or 5 for AFCON. So, you know, Liverpool, you're not missing a 38 game week player. You're only missing a 28 game week player. Maybe they'll see something in that.
Do I keep him in my team for this week?
Yeah, I think you have to this week, don't you?
Yeah,
I would. Yeah.
All right.
I think, yeah. He's going to want to leave on a high, mate. You can spin the narrative however you want in FPL.
But I'm actually in trouble. If they make like this other offer after half 6 today, I'm in big trouble.
With your bench, you are.
With my bench, exactly. I might need to make that transfer after all, otherwise Declan Rice is playing again.
Annoyingly, the transfer deadline is, I think, 10 p.m. tonight, and we have our FPL deadline at 6:30. So, do bear that in mind, guys. Look, we'll be back on Monday, myself and Dean, to review the game week just gone. Make sure you stay tuned for that and hit the subscribe button on your way out today with the alerts so you know when we're going live. If you want more Q&A, then I am going live at 3 p.m. today for my first ever live on my YouTube channel. It will just be an hour of answering your questions in the chat. I won't have these two to bounce off. So I'd love to see you on the other side on my channel as well. But before you go, hit the subscribe button. If you've just joined, you've missed an amazing hour. Ian's live at the Man City training ground, about to go into the press conference. We're going to let him go, but go back and watch the last hour as well. But for now, he's been Ian, he's been Dean, I've been Gianni, and we've all been chasing green arrows.